Okay, let's begin with a psalm. As a deer longs for flowing streams, so my soul longs for you, O God. My soul thirsts for you, for the living God. When shall I behold your face? My tears have been my food day and night, while voices ask, where is your God? Why are you so heavy, O my soul? Why are you so weary within me? Trust in God, for I shall praise that holy voice and find my help in that holy face. Welcome to this digital contemplative prayer group. This is a place for all God's people. Whatever your beliefs or doubts, you are welcome here. If you are new to centering prayer, just follow the instructions as the session unfolds. You are also welcome to use the silence in any other way that is right for you. Loving God, we ask for your blessings upon this gathering, recognizing that we bring the joys and sorrows of our lives here today. If anyone would like to mention, silently or aloud, expressions of gratitude or concern for ourselves, our families, our friends, our society, or our fragile planet, please do so now.
For thanksgiving and care for our community and, God's tenderness and grace over the people in the war area. Thank you.
For Mike.
And thanksgiving to God for the doctors and God's care during some dental work that I had today.
Thanksgiving for teachers in our lives who help us on this journey.
God, we trust that you hear our prayers, silent or spoken, wordless or in words. Jesus teaches, except as you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. How can we become more like children in our centering prayer? Simple, innocent, tender. We often have a tendency to be quite mean to ourselves, judgmental and harsh. That's what we were taught, that we need more discipline, more strictness. Let us become kind and gentle parents to ourselves, treating ourselves during our centering prayer practice with the greatest tenderness and love. I'm going to review the 4 basic guidelines, making note of some of the ways we can bring a more loving and tender attitude towards our practice. We have been wounded and broken by life in various ways that have created little hard places in ourselves. Our armor, our defenses, our idea that we need to judge ourselves. And we can keep trying to find and remove these little hard places so that we approach our prayer with the softness and vulnerability of children. So the first basic guideline, just to review, is choose a sacred word or a sacred breath as the symbol of your intention to consent to God's presence and action within. Are you perhaps using an old word that corresponds to an old self who is more judgmental than you are today? Does your word activate something harsh in you? Is it time to think about changing your word or trying to move to the sacred breath? Or if you have been using the breath, is it not anchoring enough? Would the word be more helpful? Just think about what would be the most tender way to use your sacred symbol, and if there are any adjustments you need to make. And what about your sense of God in the prayer? Is there something threatening about it? A taskmaster, a judge, a mean schoolmaster, some element that is not really the love of God that we actually believe in, that can be removed, softened? Pray to a God who is kind and gentle. The second guideline is sitting comfortably and with eyes closed, settle briefly and silently introduce the sacred word as the symbol of your consent to God's presence and action within. What about our posture? Are we comfortable enough? Relaxed and natural? Not rigid? Are we in any pain? In recent months, I've had to acknowledge that I was in a lot more pain than I'd been letting on to myself when I tried to sit in a chair during centering prayer. I kept calling it discomfort rather than pain and minimizing it. Finally, I allowed myself to meditate lying down. What a relief. Yet it also felt like a failure, a giving up. Did my meditation even count if I was lying down? I put my knees up to remind myself not to take a nap. And slowly I've come to accept that it is just one of many things that I need to do for myself, to care for my ailing body, and to treat myself with love and gentleness. And slowly, some of the pain that I've been experiencing is departing. Perhaps someday soon I'll be able to return to sitting in a chair. Is there any discomfort that you're experiencing that you're minimizing? Something that needs your tender attention? Or a small or large adjustment? The third basic guideline: when engaged with your thoughts, return ever so gently to the sacred word. How do you treat yourself when you discover that you've been engaged with your thoughts? Treat yourself very gently, ever so gently, as if you were a little child or a little puppy. When we teach a puppy to sit, we gently place it in position. It quickly gets up again, and we patiently place it in position over and over again with gentleness. If we shouted at the puppy, we would just confuse and frighten it. We can approach ourselves in the same way in our meditation, gently disengaging ourselves from our thoughts over and over again, with a gentle understanding that we are training ourselves to do something that's challenging and unfamiliar and will take time and practice. Whatever comes up during your centering prayer, approach it with the same tenderness. Let your heart be broken. Let your life be messy. Let all your feelings and thoughts be there without policing them, but without allowing them to dominate you either. We don't engage with our thoughts and emotions during the time of prayer, but we don't harden ourselves against them either. We're not trying to keep them out with the rigidity and defensiveness. We allow our tender hearts to become bigger and softer, making more and more space within them for others and for ourselves. The fourth basic guideline is, at the end of the prayer period, remain in silence with eyes closed for a couple of minutes. The end of the prayer period is an opportunity for complete rest. Check in with yourself and with God in a gentle, intuitive way. What do you need to go forth into the next part of your day? What will help you to make a gentle transition so that you don't leave the prayer behind you as if it was in a locked room? Bring your prayer with you so that it will support and nourish your life. Just take a moment now to remember yourself as a child before you were wounded or broken in any way. Innocent, fresh, trusting, loving, spontaneous, curious. Try to bring that child into your prayer. Become as a little child and sit before God as that child. Help us, O God, to stand before you with the soft bodies and soft hearts of children. So now let's try to bring that tender attitude into our 20 minutes of centering prayer. I invite you to take your posture with great gentleness and kindness towards your body, allowing it to be comfortable, relaxed, natural. Just noticing if there's anything that you can do to help yourself be more comfortable during this time of prayer. Perhaps even just as a kind of an experiment. Or just if there are parts of your body that are uncomfortable that you can't release or control, you might put a hand on them very gently to just acknowledge that you know that that part of you is not comfortable and that you care and are approaching that part of yourself with love. And just notice how you are emotionally. All your emotions can be there. You just won't allow yourself to become distracted or engaged by them in the time of prayer. But all of yourself can be present to God. And God will love and accept everything that you are bringing with you. And just notice your image of God, the feeling of God, whatever's alive to you in your relationship with God. Just notice that. Touch it with your attention and gently let go of it. And allow your sacred symbol to come to you, your word floating up from your center, like a bell calling you to prayer. Or touch your sacred breath ever so gently with your attention. And just know that if you find yourself engaged with your thoughts, your symbol is there to help you. You don't need to use it as a barricade or a way of pushing out the thoughts. It's just a tool that you use ever so gently to call yourself back to prayer. Help us, O God, to stand before you with the soft bodies and soft hearts of children. This is a reading from David Frenette's The Path of Centering Prayer. I'll read it 3 times, and then I'll invite you to share a word or phrase that resonated for you. Listen with the ear of the heart. Jesus said, "Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Little children are, quite simply, simple in mind and being. Life is given without you having to earn it. You are in relationship with God at the level of your being. In this relationship, you don't have to do anything, but just be in God. Just receive the divine love and life in which you are enfolded. Over time, as you commit yourself more and more to this love, any sense of yourself, false or true, disappears into the simplicity of God and the present moment itself. When you let this happen, everything becomes sacred, not because it is special, but because it is ordinary, precisely because it is not special. It is sacred because it simply is. Jesus said, "Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Little children are, quite simply, simple in mind and being. Life is given without you having to earn it. You are in relationship with God at the level of your being. In this relationship, you don't have to do anything, but just be in God. Just receive the divine life and love in which you are enfolded. Over time, as you commit yourself more and more to this love, any sense of yourself, false or true, disappears into the simplicity of God and the present moment itself. When you let this happen, everything becomes sacred, not because it is special, but because it is ordinary, precisely because it is not special. It is sacred simply because it is. Jesus said, "Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Little children are, quite simply, simple in mind and being. Life is given without you having to earn it. You are in relationship with God at the level of your being. In this relationship, you don't have to do anything, but just be in God. Just receive the divine life and love in which you are enfolded. Over time, as you commit yourself more and more to this love, any sense of yourself, false or true, disappears into the simplicity of God and the present moment itself. When you let this happen, everything becomes sacred, not because it is special, but because it is ordinary, precisely because it is not special. It is sacred because it simply is. I invite you to share a word or phrase that resonated for you.
Enfolded.
It is sacred because it is.
Just be.
Be in God.
Receive.
It is simple because it is.
Receive divine love.
Just be in God.
Breatharian.
Let's close by saying together David Furnet's interpretation of the Lord's Prayer. Our source, existing beyond time, though uncontained by images, sacred are your names. Unity is here. Your path be done in this world, as it is beyond time. Give us this day appreciation of your every gift, and heal us, forgive us, as we are a healing, forgiving presence to others. And when challenges come, help us find you consciously, freeing us from encountering death, suffering, and evil outside you. For you are the generative source of this universe, its laws, and life itself, now and forever. So be it. Let it be. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm so glad you were able to find us at our new link, and I hope you have a wonderful week.